Garrett Cole's making a lot of money for the New York Yankees. He's come here to be the ace. He's come here to be that catalyst. He's come here to be that dude when you get into the postseason that carries the New York Yankees to the ALCS, ultimately to the World Series, and hopefully to a championship. That might not happen if they have to face the Boston Red Sox. We all remember what happened last year, but this year, Boston Red Sox in particular, Rafael Devers just has his number. And I'm not going to raise great concern about this, but I cannot sit here and trust that Garrett Cole is going to figure this out. Mainly because Garrett Cole threw 5 on the 2 at-bats where Devers hit home runs, 4 different pitches to him, the changeup twice, and he just can't get him out. He even had his pitching coach, the pitching coach, came out and Matt Blake tried to come out and go over the plan on how to get Rafael Devers out, and he couldn't get him out, and he hit a home run again. And the only reason that the Red Sox were in this game was because Cole can't get Devers out. Cole gives up 2 home runs to Devers, who was responsible for all 5 of the Red Sox runs, and you saw him exasperated, turning around, and I'm saying with a smile on my face because the Yankees won, turn around saying basically, WTF. Anybody have a suggestion on how I can get Rafael Devers out? Well, here's an idea. Just walk him. Seriously, go to the next guy. I know that's a cheap way out, but it might have to come to fruition at some point because he just can't get him out. Now, why does this matter? Right, the New York Yankees are significantly up in this division. They win the game last night. Their 60th win on the season. The first team, obviously, in Major League Baseball to get to 60 wins. They're 37 games above 500, 60-23 on the season. They are 14 and a half games up on the Tampa Bay Rays. They're 15 games up now on the Boston Red Sox, 15 and a half games up on the Toronto Blue Jays. They're running away with the division. Hell, they could win this division when it's all said and done by 20-plus games at the end, by the time we get to the end of this season, and it'll feel like, the Yankees ran away with the division. But the challenge with the division is that all 3 of these teams, Toronto, Boston, and Tampa Bay, if the season were to end now, and I'm going to assume all of these teams are going to continue to not thrive, but at least compete and stay above 500. All 3 of the teams that I just mentioned are currently in the postseason. Now, that only creates a situation if the Yankees can't beat them. Now, I think they can consistently beat them, but there also will be a lot of pressure on the Yankees dominating the division throughout the season. The Rays and the Red Sox and the Blue Jays, they get to the postseason. It's almost like, all right, we got here. We're playing with house money. We're not supposed to beat the Yankees, and yet here they'll have the opportunity to potentially do so because the Yankees and their ace can't figure out how to get Rafael Devers out of the game without hitting home runs. How do they dominate without being able to consistently have their ace find a way to win baseball games? Now, the team is so good that I think they get away with it, right? They get away with it because their bullpen is elite. They have bullpen arms for days. It's almost as if this team, can let Garrett Cole go 5 innings or less and get into the bullpen and they'd still be fine. But you just want Garrett Cole to be that guy. You believe, you're paying him to be that guy. You believe that he can be that guy. And as much as I want to believe it, we had this conversation 2 months ago about whether or not we trust Garrett Cole to be that guy when it matters for the New York Yankees. And I still don't know if I can trust him. I want to, and I really do. And again, I'm not knocking him. They won the game. He's as confused as we are about why he can't get Rafael Devers out. But at the same time, Garrett Cole needs to be your guy. And is he our guy? That's the question. That's the question that I think Yankees fans have after last night, despite the win. And again, I'm not screaming from the mountaintop. I'm not saying, we're in trouble. He's not going to be that guy. But there is a but. And when there's a but, it just gives you a little bit of pause, especially because the Boston Red Sox, when and if they make the postseason, aren't going to have any pressure. The Yankees are going to have a ton of pressure. And I know that the narrative around Garrett Cole has been since the last year. Well, he just doesn't have the mental makeup. We all remember at the beginning of the season when he was complaining about the national anthem going too long, or who was it? Billy Crystal throwing out the first pitch, or it went too long. Like all of these excuses, which it felt like excuses, and it felt like he was thinking about it too much. And I think maybe that could be the issue with Garrett Cole. Sometimes when you're great and you know you're in a pressure situation, it gets in your mind. You get in your own head trying to think about how to be great. Like we know he's got great stuff. He's had it for most of his career, both in with the Astros and even in his first year here with the New York Yankees. He's got really good stuff, but sometimes greatness gets in its own way, and I think with Garrett Cole, that's where he gets stuck. He gets stuck thinking too much. He gets stuck saying or digging into his mind about how am I going to do this? How am I going to be successful instead of just doing it? And it's one of those things that you've always heard about, you've always thought about, you've always seen. When you don't think, it's like a golfer. When a golfer gets up there and has a terrible shot, he has to get over the next one and hit a great one. He doesn't think about it. He just does it. And those that aren't good golfers, like me and others, most of us hacks out there, you start thinking about it, right? You start thinking about the tree in front of you. You start thinking about the water in front of you. You start thinking about whatever the obstacle is that's in front of you instead of just doing what you know how to do. And I think that's what happens with Garrett Cole at some points of his process. And certain players like Rafael Devers take advantage of that. Now, luckily, it was just Rafael Devers and not anyone else on the Boston Red Sox team. They have some good players on that squad, but luckily it was just one guy. But I don't have an easy answer for Garrett Cole, but the simple answer is to not think. Stop thinking and just pitch because it's not as hard as he made it look last night, especially against Rafael Devers. All right, our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. No body. Taking your calls, 877-337-6666. I'm not overly worried about Garrett Cole, but I am worried about the pressure situations that could happen when Garrett Cole gets into the postseason against whoever it may be, and he starts thinking. If Garrett Cole is thinking, that's when he gets in trouble. When he's not thinking and he's just pitching and he's not cursing at himself, I think he could be great. But sometimes he gets in his own mind, and it shows. And it showed itself last night on just one batter, but a couple of times.